What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of TTALK. It is you plus me plus a lovely cup of tea, and today we are back with another episode. If you guys are new here, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Nala Asa Shakur, also known as Tyler A. Norman. I am the author of the book Love Starts Here. If you haven't checked out my book yet, if you haven't read it, this book takes you down a journey of learning how to embody unconditional love within your holistic self, which means physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and learning how cultivating that energy within ourselves and within our energy bodies attracts those things in our lives so we can have love and romance and friendship and family and career and just attract the things that we truly desire out of life. So if you haven't checked out my book, I will link that down below. You go ahead and check that out. Read that. And then I am also the CEO of the All Natural right here, repping the brand, which is your one-stop holistic health shop, where we provide all your needs for a natural lifestyle in a content, product, service, or event. Okay, and if you guys are new to TTALK, TTALK is a podcast slash video series where we come together, we sip our tea, and we talk the real tea, which is how to heal thyself, okay? We channel messages from the tarot. I open myself up as a vessel, looking at the symbolism, the colors, the numbers on the cards, to be able to channel a message, affirmations, divine wisdom, clarity, inner, under, and overstanding that I and you, listeners, watchers, that we as a collective need to hear in this current moment that resonates with our lives, something that we can relate to our personal lives and we can bring back to help us love ourselves on a deeper level and attract love in our lives. So yes, now that I'm done with that intro, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get into the prayer, okay? We're going to take some deep breaths just to set the tone and set the energy for the reading and for just this space, okay? Whew, let's take some deep breaths. Thank you, Mother, Father, Creator. Thank you for this space. Thank you for this sacred space. Thank you for this gift. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this platform that allows me to express myself, allows me to share myself, that allows me to serve the Most High, to serve Spirit, walk in my path and my purpose, Spirit. And I pray and I set the intention to create this space for healing, to create this space for whatever it is that we, all the watchers and listeners, that all of us as reflections of each other need to heal and need to hear in this current moment, Spirit. I open myself up as a vessel, clearing all energy not of our highest good, clearing all energy that is not supposed to be in this healing space right now. Open myself up as a vessel to channel the divine wisdom of the Most High, Mother, Father, Creator. Opening myself up to receive and to give and to channel advice, wisdom, affirmations, inner over and understanding, anything that we need to hear in this moment, Spirit, that we can bring to our lives, that we can take and help teach us and guide us into loving ourselves, loving others, and loving life deeper, Spirit. I just pray for a divine message. I pray for a healing message that really touches us all. And I pray and I set the intention that we all leave this video with something. That we all leave this video with something to help us further ourselves along in our journey, in our elevation, and our growth. Thank you, God, for this space. Ashe. Okay, guys, so pause the video if you don't have your tea already. I'm gonna need y'all to go get that, okay? Because the tea is part of the healing process. And if you do have your tea already, you is ready, okay? Today I am sitting on some lemon ginger tea once again, just because that's like almost one of my favorite teas. It's really basic, it's really good, it's gonna be guaranteed to be good. Lemon is good for detoxing, clearing out sinuses, digestion, clearing up the skin. It's a citrus, so it boosts the immune system. It's really good for the body, alkalizing the body. Ginger is super good for digestion as well, clearing mucus, once again, easing nausea, helping with cold and flu symptoms. Once again, we're just getting out of that season, transitioning, and we're about to go into spring now. So this is a super dope combo. If you want to add some honey and sea moss too, makes the perfect tea, okay? So, announcements. We actually do have an announcement. We have a shout out today. So on the All Natural, we have something called the Holistic Business Community, which is a membership. It is a $25 a month membership where holistic businesses can sign up and receive a ton of benefits, and one of them is getting your products or service available on the allnatural.co, having us promote them, share them, and being into an exclusive group where we share entrepreneurship tips, business tips, and just tips on growing a business. And there's a ton of more benefits to that. I'll link that down below if you guys are interested, if you want to join. But basically, we come together and we add a feminine element to business, and we make it more so not a competition, but we're helping each other thrive. We're putting our energies together. We're putting our momentum together so that we can grow together, because things are better in numbers. Energy is more powerful when people come together, okay? So now that I've explained that, we have a new member of the Holistic Business Community within the All Natural, and that is Tracy from Pretty Wing Magic. Woo! We are so excited to have Pretty Wing Magic in the Holistic Business Community. They are a beautiful, beautiful, intentional, and spiritual healing business that sells candles and incense. And however, these candles and these incense are Reiki infused. They are set with intentions and set with affirmations. And the beautiful owner, Tracy, a beautiful black queen, beautiful melanated queen, she puts her energy into them, her healing, her spiritual energy into these candles and these incense to make them just more spiritual and more intentional. And so we have 2 of her candle sets available on the All Natural. I will link those down below right now. We have her I Am candle set, and we have another of her candle sets as well. Like I said, they have affirmations on them. They all have a different intention, a different meaning. They have herbs infused in them. They are soy wax candles, so 100% natural. They smell amazing. I've personally used the incense and the candles. They smell amazing. They're beautiful. They're super cute. And all of them actually come with a playlist, which is super dope. So as you're burning your candle, you can scan the little barcode that she has on the candle, and it'll pull up a playlist on Spotify. And if that isn't just intentional and beautiful to you, I don't know what is. So shout out to Tracy. Shout out to Pretty Green Magic. We're excited to have you and have your products on the allnatural.co. So you guys go check her out, purchase something, and support her business. So yes, now that I'm done with that, let's go ahead and get into this message. What are we talking about today, Spirit? What are we talking about? Okay, that was supposed to be there. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the message that's coming through. Spirit wants to remind us that what we fear and what we give, the fears that we give energy to, and the fears that we don't face, the fears that we run from, the fears that we bury, the fears that we try to suppress, and the fears that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to face them. We don't want to come face to face with them. We want to keep running and avoiding these fears, and we want to keep being afraid of them because we don't want to get down to the root of the fear. Those things that we fear, we become. We become those things. And the reason is that when we fear something, there is a root of it. There is a root of that fear. Something that happened that causes us to not want to have an interaction with that same thing in a certain way because it caused us some sort of trauma in the past. In a past life, it just fears in our DNA passed down from our ancestors, parents, grandparents, all that, from generation to generation that nobody ever confronted. There are fears that we have developed from childhood, things that we've had to deal with from childhood that cause us pain and that cause us trauma, that we have developed a reaction of fear to. We have associated those things with being afraid because those things caused us some sort of uncomfortable or traumatic experience. So we associate those things with fear. And as we grow older, we start to avoid those things. We start to avoid them. We start to not want to confront those things. We tell ourselves, or maybe we may not tell ourselves. We may subconsciously have a fear of those things. But whether it's subconsciously or consciously, we start to suppress and we start to avoid the things that we're afraid of because we don't want to put in the effort of diving deep into the root and facing that fear so we can let it go. So the thing is that when we are afraid of things and we grow up as adults and the things from our childhood that we have fears, created towards, and we grow up as adults, we start to distance ourselves from those things. And we start to put up walls. And we start to put up defense mechanisms to keep us from facing those fears again. And oftentimes we start to make connections that validate those fears. We make connections with people who are afraid of the same things that we are, so we can have someone to relate to and someone who we can run away from that fear with. Or we start to want to attract people who will validate and, tell us that we won't have to face those fears. So let's say we're afraid of abandonment. Then we will desire to attract, and we're suppressing our fear. If you're afraid of abandonment, we have a childhood wound of abandonment. Somebody that abandoned us in childhood and it was traumatic for us. It was uncomfortable. It made us sad, angry. It caused a inner turmoil within us and we didn't know how to deal with it as a child. So going into adulthood, we have a fear of that, a fear of abandonment because we don't want to face that trauma again that we felt as a child. So we suppress that. We try to avoid abandonment as much as possible. The thing is, and then we want to get into relationships, trauma bonds. We want to get into relationships that validate those fears for us. So we have a fear of abandonment. We would want to be in a relationship where someone's going to tell us, I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to leave you. I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to be here forever. This, and this. Because we want other people from the outside to validate our fears and make us comfortable in not facing them. Okay? And in doing that, we become our fears and we only attract our fears to us. Because the thing is with fear, the only way that we can move past fear is by facing whatever we're afraid of. The only way that we can move past fear is by facing whatever we are afraid of, because in facing it, in the end, we may be hurt, we may be traumatized, we may be sad, but in the end, when we put in the work to heal afterwards and we find the root and we find the light of, why we were afraid in the first place, and we heal past it, we then come to a perspective and come to an understanding that there was never anything to be afraid of in the first place. There was never anything that we had to avoid. All we needed to know is that we were strong enough to face that thing, that we would be okay afterwards. That trauma, that discomfort that may have came within facing it is nothing. It's water under the rug. We can get past that, move past that easily, and actually use that to fuel us. Okay, so if we are in a place where we are letting fear allow us to avoid things and to suppress things and to, you know, be involved in trauma bonds and people, and we want people to validate our fears and other people to help us, you know, not face those things. That is when we become our fears, and that is when we attract them to us. Because the thing about love is, love wants us to face our fears. We cannot accept true unconditional love within ourselves or from anybody else. We cannot even have the space in our energy. We can't even have the space in our heart chakras to give and receive and to have a flow of love if we have fear, a constant, unmoving fear there. Fears that we are not facing, fears that we're constantly suppressing. We can't have love there because there's no room for it. So what love does, when we want love, when we want to be loved, we want to love ourselves, we want to love others, we want to be loved by others. Fear comes in and it's awakened. It is brought to the surface. Our fears are brought to the surface and they are made known to us. And we are triggered by things that show us, hey, there's something there. You have a deeper fear of something involving that. Whatever you're avoiding, whatever, is making you feel really uncomfortable, making you feel triggered, there is something there that is a deeper fear. The root of it is a fear of something that happened in your childhood. And love, when we want love to come in, love comes in and it wants to bring those fears to surface. It wants to bring those fears to surface. It wants to bring an awareness to those fears so that we can not run from them and we can not, want other people to, like I said, validate that we won't have to face those fears. But so we can face them. So we can come face to face with them, figure out, oh, okay, I have a fear of this. What is this rooting from? What in my childhood related to this? Why am I afraid of this? What happened in my childhood that would make me feel this way and be afraid of that same scenario in adulthood? Love comes in so we can do that, have that process, and get to the root of things so that we can release it. Okay? And if we don't go through that process, when love tries to come in and our fears comes up and we have those opportunities to face them and release them and move through them and grow through them. If we don't do that and we continuously suppress our fears and put them away and avoid them and not want to face them, we become them because we will be so busy trying to protect ourselves from what we're afraid of that we become that exact thing. Just like I said, if we have a fear of abandonment from our childhood because somebody left us and it caused us trauma, like I said, once again, repeatedly, we will attract and we will desire connections that validate those fears. Oh, I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to abandon you, because we want our, that fear to be comforted and suppressed because we don't want to face it. And at the same time, we will, when we get deep with others in relationships, we will become exactly what we are afraid of. We will become a abandoner. We will become somebody who abandons other people. Because when that relationship gets real deep and the possibility of abandonment comes up and that fear comes in and it's too strong, it has a power over us because we haven't faced it. When that fear of abandonment comes in after we're deep in this relationship, and after, like I said, that fear comes in like, oh my God, what if I get abandoned? What if the things from my childhood happen again? I'm so scared. I'm afraid. I'm this and this can't happen to me. If we don't face that fear, if we don't figure out the root and decide to bring up the courage to face it anyways, we become that and we will abandon other people before they abandon us because we don't want to be abandoned, because we're still afraid of that. And then we will go into the next relationship and repeat the exact same pattern until we release that fear. think of another example. If we have a fear of okay, so actually I'm just gonna have a vulnerable moment right now. I'm gonna just let y'all know the fear that I have been faced, the fear that I have been forced to face in this current moment. And I know exactly where it's rooted from. Lately, I have been experiencing a resistance and a fear and a discomfort toward the wounded feminine. And by wounded feminine, I mean women and people in their feminine energy who experience the more lower vibrational side of the feminine energy. So jealousy, competition, being in that snake energy, doing little things to try to get at people, competing. Like I said, just that jealousy. I have been resisting that and not wanting any of those type of people, any of that energy around me. I haven't been wanting it, and I'm like, I don't want that around me. I don't even want to deal with that. I don't even want to come face to face with that. But guess what? Me resisting that has shown me that I have a deeper fear of it. And because I know this process, I went into my childhood. What is causing me to not want to face that in my adulthood? And I realized in my childhood, I had to deal with that. A lot of, just because of me, how I was. I had a lot of attention in school, and I had really long curly hair, and I was smart, and I was pretty to other people. So I dealt with a lot of jealousy and a lot of girls who wanted to, sneak diss me and create drama, and girls who wanted to physically harm me in a serious way. And so from childhood, that trauma caused me to not want to deal with that in my adult life. And so me realizing that, I realized, hey, I can either run from these again and try to avoid that, and down the line, I will become that. I will become a jealous, catty, competitive